Hi everybody, we're looking at Sabrina, the Teenage Witch. This is the pencil drawing that I drew in last night's video on how I draw Sabrina, the Teenage Witch. So if you haven't seen that video, I'll be linking to it in the description below, so you'll be able to check it out. I'm still trying to get the handle on how these premieres work. So I'm filming this one extra early to give us all a little time to be able to make the premieres. And the premieres are a nice feature because you're alerted as to when the video will premiere. And then if you watch it as it premieres, you could also ask me questions and interact with me in real time. So that could be a lot of fun. So watch for that. Okay, so today I left it up to you guys if anybody wanted to see me ink Sabrina, and super Kitty Die fan Karen Knight from Australia said that she wanted to see me ink her. So Karen, this is for you. Okay, so I've got my inking stuff handy. A lot of it I've shown you in other videos, but I'll explain more about it as we go. The first thing I want to do, since she's got this broomstick, I've got my circle template, but I'm going to be using it strictly as a straight edge. And I've got my Faber-Castell Pitt pen, which I'm going to be using. And I want the Pitt pen because it does have that hard point. You know, this is just going to be a straight line here. I don't need this line to be fancy or even interesting. It just needs to be a broomstick. So I'm gonna go in and really just follow along the edge, making sure I'm using the template with these, I don't know if you can see these, but you see these little bubbles. Those little bubbles help elevate your template so it doesn't lay flat on the on your paper. Because if you do just have it flat on the paper, what happens is that when you move the template, it might drag your ink and it'll cause a smear that you don't want. So that little elevation that those little dimples give you, that's good. You want that. Okay. I'm just reinforcing my lines here. Like I said in previous videos, sometimes the ink in these pens, this isn't so hot, so I'm really going over it a few times. And then the very tip of the broomstick here, this I'm just gonna fake. Just gonna do that by hand and thicken up the line as I go. And I think I'm left with a broomstick. Okay, now I am going to go, I'm going to take a thinner pen and I'm going to, this is still one of my Faber-Castell Pitt pens, and the other advantage that these pens have is they don't really smear. You know, the ink is just absorbed by the paper fairly quickly, so they don't really smudge too easily. So I'm not going to be too worried about smearing that. And that's why I'm laying that down now. Doing Sabrina's eyebrows. Now, one thing about inking, you always hear that joke that inkers are just tracers, which is not true, of course. When you're inking, what you should be doing is actually redrawing the pencil drawing. So if it seems like I'm slavishly following my lines, it's not what I'm intending to do. Those lines are just really there as a guideline for me. And when I'm inking, I'm just really redrawing what I've drawn before. And that's the difference between a good inker and a bad one, is that a good one knows how to draw. Okay, I've got the features down. Now I want to go for my extra fine Faber-Castell, and I'm adding Sabrina's freckles. Like I said in the pencil, when I was doing the pencils for this one, I always favor Dan DeCarlo's Sabrina the best, that early first appearance Sabrina. You know, while I have my Faber-Castells handy, another thing I want to take care of is Sabrina's belt buckle. Anything that isn't organic, anything where you don't want a soft line on and you want a fairly straight line, that's where the pens come in handy. Because the pens won't give you that nice thick to thin line unless you add that. So this is going to give me a fairly straight line. And now what I want to do is I'm going to go and break out the trusty brush pen, which I've shown you before. I don't know if I'm going to be able to ink all of her, but I'm going to be able to ink a good part of her. Okay, so I'm coming around, I'm starting. Didn't want to break off in mid-face that way, but I did. I want to come down, get a little thicker as I go underneath her jaw. Again, these lines, you really want to try and get them in one shot as much as you possibly can. I'm going to come down, do her neck. I want to do her hair. I'm going to pick that up here, curve around, and I'm playing with the pressure of my hand. Whenever I want the line to be thin, what I'm doing is I'm just really grazing the paper with the pen, with the brush pen. And then when I want to get thicker, yeah, I just press down harder. Fill in that headband a little bit. And I'm gonna come down. And I'm curving around. Okay. So most of her head is done. I'm gonna go for my Pilot pen, pocket brush pen from Pilot, and I'm just going to take care of some of these thinner lines in her hair, like that, and like that. May as well just do her collarbone too. And I might even use that a little later to go in and take care and neaten up some of these lines. Like I could always take my Faber-Castells. Even though I don't like the ink in them, it's all right to just do a few little touch-ups and take out any shakiness or anywhere that the line you aren't totally happy with. I didn't do any erasing of the pencil lines. I'm leaving them as is because I could erase that after the ink has dried. I'm gonna do her shoulder. Come down here and get thicker on the underside. Come down, little fold in her sleeve. I'm gonna do that dress of hers in black, so I'm not gonna sweat a lot of the mistakes. I could always cover up later. Notice I pull my arm. I really try to lock my wrist, my hand and wrist into one position so I could very easily just pull my arm around her. And that will help push my control and minimize any unwanted shakiness. The other thing is, another mistake a lot of people commonly make is they go too slow when they ink. And I'm not advocating rushing through this stuff, not at all. But sometimes we get a little hesitant, and what happens is when you hesitate with your line, what you're doing is you're giving your arm time to shake. Okay, I'm turning Sabrina upside down because I'm going to be careful how I lay my camera, but I want to come in and I want to ink her legs. Ink. Okay, so her legs, they're okay, they're done. Now I want to go in and do her feet. Get her feet done, almost. A lot of what's going to be left at the end of this is just filling in large areas of black. I'm going to go over back to my pocket brush pen because I want to do her fingertips, and the brush pen just gives me a finer line so I could get in and do these little lines. And actually I could go in and do the ratty little skirt, and I also can go ahead and do the straw part of her broomstick. Okay, so Sabrina is pretty much done here. She is inked. The only thing I have left to do, as I said, I want to make her dress black. So I'm gonna do that. I'm not gonna put you through that, but that's just filling in a big area of black. So just imagine me with a big old brush that I could just slop a lot of black ink into that shape. But I will post the finished product later. And then what I'll do is in the next video I'll color her, and that'll probably be a quick one because there isn't a whole lot to color on her if her dress is going to be black. But just keep an eye out for that one. I hope you guys enjoyed this. If you have any questions at all, please, as always, post them in the comments below. Thanks for tuning in. If you enjoyed this, as always, please subscribe, hit the bell, click like, and share. Please, if you can, share the videos, show your friends, anyone who might be interested in doing this stuff. Just let them know. All right? Thanks a lot, everybody. See you next time.